October 20th, 1944, 10:15 hours. Red Beach, Leyte Gulf, Philippines. The sharp rhythm of semi-automatic gunfire cracked through the humid air, an echo that rolled across the invasion beach with relentless precision. It was a sound the Japanese Imperial Army had never encountered at this scale. This intensity, this unbroken storm of fire, 8 rounds. Reload, 8 more. The Americans were firing their rifles as fast as Japanese soldiers could cycle their bolts, except without the pause, without the vulnerability, without that fatal hesitation that had defined infantry combat for 50 years. The weapon responsible for this stunning display was the M1 Garand rifle, and it was about to prove why. General George S. Patton would call it the greatest battle implement ever devised. Facing them, Japanese troops clutched their bolt-action Arisaka Type 38 and Type 99 rifles, fine weapons for another era, but hopelessly outmatched in this one. Bringing 19th century technology into a 20th century gunfight would prove a fatal miscalculation, but this revolution in infantry firepower didn't begin on the beaches of Leyte. It began more than a decade earlier, in the quiet workshops of Springfield Armory, Massachusetts. There, long before Pearl Harbor, an idea was taking shape. In modern warfare, the soldier who could fire more accurate shots in less time would rule the battlefield. At the heart of that idea stood John Cantius Garand, a Canadian-born firearms designer working for the U.S. Army. For years, he pursued what most experts dismissed as impossible: a semi-automatic rifle reliable enough for battle, accurate enough for soldiers, and simple enough for mass production. Many had tried and failed. The French Meunier, the Mexican Mondragon, the American Pedersen, each too delicate, too complex, or too unreliable for the mud and chaos of war. But Garand's design, finalized in 1932 and officially adopted by the U.S. Army on January 9, 1936, solved every problem his predecessors could not. The M1 Garand used a gas-operated, rotating bolt system that was both elegant and rugged. When a round was fired, a portion of the gas bled from the barrel, driving a piston that cycled the action, ejecting the spent case, loading the next round, and cocking the hammer, all in less than a second. The Ordnance Department's specifications revealed its power. Weight, 9.5 pounds unloaded. Length, 43.6 inches. Cartridge, 30.06. Springfield, one of the most powerful rounds in service with an effective range of 500 yards. It could fire 40 to 50 accurate shots per minute, compared to just 10 to 15 from a skilled bolt action. Rifleman ducked its 8-round en bloc clip, automatically ejected after the last shot with a crisp metallic ping, a sound that became legend. Critics claimed it would alert enemies that the rifle was empty, but in the chaos of combat, with hundreds of Garands firing at once, no one could tell which rifle had gone silent. By 1941, as America entered the war, Springfield Armory and Winchester, repeating arms had already produced 600,000 Garands. By the war's end, that number would exceed 5.4 million, making it one of the most successful weapons programs in U.S. history. Every dollar, every man-hour, every innovation had gone into perfecting the standard by which all future rifles would be judged. Meanwhile, the Japanese Imperial Army entered the Pacific War with rifles that belonged to another age. The Arisaka Type 38, adopted in 1905, and the Type 99, introduced in 1939, were both bolt-action rifles that demanded manual operation after every shot. Japanese soldier firing an Arisaka had to unlock the bolt, pull it back to eject the cartridge, push it forward to chamber the next, rotate it down to lock, then aim and fire again. Seconds lost. Seconds that meant the difference between life and death. For decades, Japan's doctrine had revolved around these weapons. Soldiers were trained for precision, discipline, and spiritual unity with their rifles. The Arisakas were reliable, accurate, and beautifully built. But the Pacific War would not be fought by the standards of 1918. It would be fought with the weapons of 1944, and the Japanese were about to discover the cost of that technological gap in blood. By October 1944, that gap was about to decide the fate of empires. General Douglas MacArthur, leading the Southwest Pacific Area Forces, had sworn to return to the Philippines, and he meant it. His invasion force, Operation King II, brought over 200,000 troops of the U.S. Sixth Army under General Walter Kruger. Facing them were 260,000 Japanese troops of the 14th Area Army, commanded by General Tomoyuki Yamashita, the Tiger of Malaya, whose tactical genius would soon be crippled by inferior weapons. The Japanese defensive plans were meticulous. They'd studied American tactics in the Solomons, New Guinea, and the Marianas, preparing to contest every beach, every ridge, every street. They'd calculated ammunition needs, plotted counterattack routes, and prepared for another grinding, attritional fight. What they hadn't calculated was this: that every American rifleman could fire 5 times faster than his Japanese counterpart, with equal or better accuracy. The mathematics of modern warfare were about to be rewritten, by technology, by industry, and by innovation, and Japan was about to pay the price for its conservatism. Training programs had to be built from the ground up, teaching soldiers how to properly maintain and operate this new marvel of engineering. Spare parts pipelines were established across the globe, while armorer training programs expanded rapidly to ensure that even in the field, maintenance was never an issue. By December 1941, when the United States entered World War II, roughly 600,000 M1 Garand rifles had rolled off the production lines. This gave American forces a crucial early edge, though not every unit carried the weapon yet. Many National Guard formations and some Army divisions still relied on the older bolt-action M1903 Springfield. But production was accelerating, fast. By mid-1943, monthly M1 output surpassed 100,000 rifles, and by war's end, the total would climb to an astonishing 5,468,772. It became one of the most successful weapons procurement efforts in all of military history. The Garand specifications told the story of its genius. Weighing 9.5 pounds empty, it was perfectly balanced for quick target acquisition. Its 30.06 cartridge delivered 2,800 feet per second muzzle velocity, a flat trajectory, powerful stopping force, and precision at distance. The gas-operated system cycled at a theoretical 600 rounds per minute, though in practice, soldiers could deliver 40 to 50 aimed shots per minute, still revolutionary. For its time, the M1's effective range reached 500 yards for point targets and 800 yards for area targets, rivaling or even surpassing the bolt-action rifles of its day. And its loading system was brilliantly simple. An 8-round en-bloc clip slid into the top of the rifle, the bolt snapping shut automatically to chamber the first round. After all 8 were fired, the empty clip ejected with that now legendary metallic ping, and the bolt locked open, ready to reload. A trained rifleman could complete the entire reload process in under 3 seconds. This speed, combined with semi-automatic operation, meant American soldiers could unleash sustained, accurate fire once thought possible only with machine guns. But the M1 Garand represented more than just a technological leap. It embodied American industrial philosophy in wartime form. Where other nations tinkered cautiously, the U.S. went all in. It didn't just innovate, it industrialized innovation. While others hesitated to back unproven technology, American factories scaled up to arm millions. The result was a weapon that would reshape the outcome of battles across every theater of World War II, and nowhere more dramatically than in the Philippine Islands, where Japanese soldiers armed with bolt-action rifles would soon face the unstoppable rhythm of American semi-automatic firepower. Beat. Preparing and narrating this story took immense effort, so if you're enjoying it, make sure to subscribe. It truly means a lot. Now back to the story. The firepower unleashed at Leyte rippled across the entire final year of the Pacific War, shattering Japanese defensive doctrine and redefining American tactics. Within weeks of the invasion, frontline reports confirmed what planners had only theorized. The M1 Garand didn't just improve infantry performance, it multiplied it. In direct combat, a single American squad could deliver 3 to 5 times the firepower of an equivalent Japanese force. By November 1944, Tokyo's imperial headquarters was flooded with grim reports from the Philippines. Captured documents, later translated by U.S. intelligence, revealed the psychological and tactical shockwaves this weapon created. One report from General Yamashita's staff read, "American infantry weapons represent a fundamental advantage in all direct engagements. Our forces cannot achieve fire superiority regardless of tactical position or numerical strength. Conventional defensive tactics are ineffective against this firepower. The transformation was not just tactical, it was psychological. Japanese soldiers, raised under the Bushido Code, had been taught that courage and aggression could overcome any foe. But now, bravery meant nothing against a weapon that could fire faster than the human body could react. A charging soldier with an Arisaka rifle never reached his target. A disciplined defender holding position was drowned in a storm of semi-automatic fire. The very spiritual foundation of Japanese warfare was being dismantled by industrial science. As American commanders recognized their advantage, they began refining tactics to exploit it. The marching fire technique, advancing while continuously firing, became standard practice. Impractical with bolt-action rifles, it was devastating with the M1 Garand. Japanese defenders were crushed beneath advancing walls of firepower, their lines collapsing before close combat could even begin. American squad tactics evolved to reflect this new power. Leaders learned to coordinate overlapping fields of fire from 8 to 12 riflemen, each one capable of rapid, accurate shots. The result was overwhelming. Machine guns, once the core of squad firepower, became support tools rather than the mainstay. Even when separated from heavy weapons, M1-equipped squads remained lethal. Medical records from Navy hospital ships told another story, one written in blood. Japanese casualties displayed higher kill-to-wound ratios than ever before. Analysts concluded that this was the result of massive volumes of fire, multiple hits per engagement. American soldiers, meanwhile, suffered fewer casualties and saw faster evacuation times, their superior firepower keeping medics and wounded men safer. The campaign's numbers were conclusive. By the time organized Japanese resistance ended in mid-1945, 336,000 Japanese soldiers had been killed. American losses totaled 62,000. Air and artillery power contributed. Yes, but at the heart of that disparity was infantry dominance born of firepower. Japanese countermeasures grew desperate. Some units attempted night infiltration attacks, hoping darkness would level the odds. But American defensive perimeters, strengthened by overlapping fields of M1 fire, repelled them again and again. Even in the dark, the 30-06 muzzle flash helped soldiers track and engage targets. Others turned to guerrilla tactics, setting ambushes in the jungles. Yet even ambushes failed. American riflemen could respond so fast that enemy units were pinned down before inflicting serious damage. The implications stretched far beyond the Philippines. When U.S. planners prepared Operation Downfall, the proposed invasion of Japan, they factored in the M1 Garand as a force multiplier. Documents from the Joint Chiefs of Staff noted that an infantry division equipped with M1s had the combat power of 1.5 to 2 divisions. Armed with bolt-action rifles, Japanese military leadership recognized this grim truth. In post-war interrogations, many senior officers admitted that by early 1945, they understood victory was impossible. Air supremacy, naval dominance, artillery precision, and infantry firepower, together they created an unbeatable equation. Japan could fight, but it could no longer win. Historians often cite the atomic bombings and Soviet intervention as decisive, but long before Hiroshima, the M1 Garand had already rewritten the balance of war. The rifle continued serving through the Korean War, once again proving its worth against enemies armed with bolt actions and early semi-automatics. Veterans from both wars would later echo the same sentiment. The M1 Garand was the finest infantry rifle of its time. General George S. Patton's words endured as its epitaph. The greatest battle implement ever devised. By the 1950s, the lesson was clear. Every major military power began developing semi-automatic or automatic rifles. The bolt action, which had ruled for 70 years, was relegated to specialized roles like sniping. The M1 Garand had proven a universal truth of modern warfare. Victory belongs to those who can deliver the most effective firepower, the fastest. It saved countless American lives and cost countless Japanese lives in return. Courage, training, and discipline could not overcome mathematics. 8 rapid shots versus 1 slow shot, repeated millions of times across hundreds of battles, made defeat inevitable. Today, the M1 Garand holds an honored place in military history and American culture. It rests in museums, cherished by collectors, revered by veterans. Its distinctive ping remains one of the most recognizable sounds of the Second World War. But beyond nostalgia, the Garand is a symbol, a reminder that in modern war, technology and industry decide fate long before soldiers meet on the field. Up next, two more powerful stories are waiting for you. If this one resonated, don't miss the next. Just click and continue the journey.